On this episode of Inbox, we talk about the harsh realities of millennial love and dating. Joining me is Brittany Christopovlos, a millennial journalist. So how did you start writing about millennial dating and relationships? How did it all start?
Well, it's actually interesting because I went to school initially for broadcast journalism, and as millennials find out, jobs don't happen right away. So I was looking on Facebook one day, and a girlfriend posted an article she had written. So I was looking at the website, and I saw that they were looking for new writers. So after about a month and a half, I finally got in, and the rest is history.
So tell me, what is a typical millennial romantic relationship? Do they happen?
Not really. These days, a lot of millennials are not interested in relationships, and it's a sad reality, but we live in a world of hookup culture, and I find that that's a lot of what dating has turned into. I mean, dates are now hookups, and hookups are one-time flings. Like, there's no consistency. It's all over the place. It's just not happening.
How about a typical millennial date night?
A lot of date nights, I find guys are, they'll make, would you like to grab a coffee? Maybe, let's go for dinner. Once dinner or coffee's done, let's go for a drive. And the rest, they kind of try to slide in there.
Isn't that the same as a hookup then?
Pretty much. I mean, I don't see it. The only difference is that there might be a wine and dine beforehand, and that's about it.
What would a typical hookup be?
I guess, like, if it was, say, on Tinder or Bumble, I guess, they'd kind of be more, oh, why don't you come on over? I got the place to myself. You can get some pizza. They might stay the night. Ooh, but otherwise, I mean, a hookup's just a hookup. There's no difference these days.
How are people hooking up then? What are they using? You mentioned Tinder and Bumble. How does that work?
I think a lot of the dating apps, they're meant to be for dating, but I think a lot of millennials don't necessarily use them for that reason because they're still young, and because of this hookup culture, relationships are not, it's not that they're frowned upon, but they're just not that common per se. So I think a lot of them, they know that people are, say, vulnerable with their emotions. So they'll give them that attention to try and lure them in, and then once they know that they have it, the hookup's set in place. Once they get that hookup, they're gone.
Is the generation of the millennial any different from, let's say, the promiscuous 60s and 70s? What's the difference between the two different generations, habits?
That's a really good question. I would have to say that in the 60s, I feel like people actually considered other people's feelings, because these days not many people do. We live in a very selfish environment as well, and we're very egotistical, and it's all about me, 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 me. So whatever benefits you, you're gonna go with. If it doesn't benefit the other person, too bad, so sad, it's their own fault. They knew what they were getting themselves into. So I mean, really, I think that's the only difference, is that they were a lot more caring and kind towards other people, whereas in today's society, no one really cares about anyone but themselves.
Do you think dating apps are a negative or positive thing? They're almost the fast food McDonald's of dating.
I guess you want that Big Mac. I think dating apps are a good thing, all in all, because it in a sense, it gives you a sense of confidence. Oh, I matched with someone new. They're cute. There's conversation going. I think it gets you excited, and positive things do come from hookup, or not hookup, hookup apps, but dating apps. But even friendships can evolve from that too. And I know a lot of people, if they move to a new town, they'll get Tinder and just swipe away. Bumble has Bumble BFF, where you can find a friend. So I think there are definitely some positives, but the negatives can kind of squeak their way in there, so you got to be careful.
Well, what influences millennial dating culture?
Honestly, I think a lot of it is what you see in the media, to be quite honest with you. I mean, we see reality TV shows such as Jersey Shore, where it's like GTL, gym, tan, laundry, and then you got to go to the club. You got to get a nice girl, you got to bring her home. And I think a lot of people still have that mentality. And I think, I'd probably say after that show really aired, we saw a vast climb in that kind of culture. And I think now that we have so many more social media apps such as Snapchat and Instagram, and Twitter's not as common, but people still use it, you got to show off that you're living this lifestyle. And I think that kind of contributes to it as well.
Do you think that there's more millennial flings or relationships?
I think it depends on how young and old you are. I think the younger you are, definitely flings, but I think once you get to the age about 25, 26, things start to change. And then, because at that age you're ready for a family. People at 21, 22 these days are, they're either still in school or they're just recent graduates. They don't have time for that.
What do you think of the influence of Facebook or Instagram in the dating world? It's almost like a dating resume. You can see what everyone's going through. And
no, I agree 100%. And let's be honest, we've all creeped. I know I have before a date. But it causes a lot of fights too, I've noticed. Well, why did you like her Instagram post? Why don't you like mine? Well, why are you looking? You're looking for a fight. I think social media, it's a great thing to showcase the positives in your life, but at the same time, it brings a lot of negativity as well.
Are millennials more or less private than other generations?
Oh no, they're definitely they're less private. They're very public with everything.
Even with their relationships though?
Oh yeah, 100%. Don't you love it when you're scrolling down Facebook and you see, oh, my boyfriend did this, and then he comments, and then you comment, and there's all these people, and it's just, I love it. It's a free show. It's dinner and a movie.
Well, what is the significance of being Facebook official? Is it important or not?
I think Facebook official is not nearly as important anymore unless you're engaged or married, because let's be honest, no one checks if you're single or if you're taken or if it's complicated. I mean, it's complicated as a whole. It's now a thing in millennial dating culture, but no one really, I don't think it's as significant as it was, say, 5 years ago.
Well, every generation kind of has their own terms, going steady. The millennial generation has their own set of terms. Can't forget ghosting.
Ghosting is, cheating is one thing, and breadcrumbing is another, but ghosting I cannot stand, because how do you have the audacity to invest someone's time and effort and whether give yours, take theirs, whatever, and then just not say a word and leave them wondering for the rest of their lives what the heck happened.
How popular is ghosting though?
It's so common, it's pathetic. People are afraid to have a conversation, and people are afraid in this generation to be vulnerable, and there's no reason to be. But I guess, I don't know if it's because they're afraid of showing their weak side or afraid of being vulnerable, but it's a chicken way out if you ask me.
Well, there's always bae.
Bae.
Is that cute or not so cute now? It's kind of like almost a cop out.
Yeah, it's like, oh, they're my bae. If you're using the word bae, you're probably like, I think you're in high school.
Or just friends.
Yeah, just friends. I mean, we all had a just friend. We've all had a just friend, let's be honest. Oh, you're just a friend, Mom, of course.
How about Snapchat? Are you seeing any trends with Snapchat with millennials?
Oh, absolutely. I think millennials, the main way, I think that you can tell if a guy's truly interested in you or not is if he uses Snapchat to talk to you. If you only talk on Snapchat, let's be honest, 9 times out of 10, it's only because he's trying to give you a little bit of a hint of hope, or he's trying to get somewhere where he won't get caught with dirty messages, pretty much. So, I mean, if he's texting you or calling you, which is even better, it's going good. But if it's only Snapchat conversations, then consider yourself played.
Do you think more millennials are using different dating apps like Tinder and Bumble rather than just meeting someone in person? Is it a bit of a cop-out?
I think it is to an extent, but I think it caters to those people who are a little bit less shy, because we do, as a generation, and it's sad to say, but we do fear face-to-face contact an awful lot, whether it be to say sorry or whether it be to meet someone new. I think, it is a cop-out. Do I use those apps? Absolutely. A lot of it's for study purposes. And I notice those trends as well, is that a lot of people with lower self-esteem are using those apps. And I find that a lot of people with higher self-esteem, they're just using them for hookups. But those people who are genuinely using it for good intentions, that's their safe place. So, I mean, I'm all for it. If that's what you need it for, be my guest, do your thing.
With a lot of millennials meeting online or on apps, do you think it's disrupting their communication skills?
I wouldn't say so, only because I find that now we're in a shift where, because people have become so reliant on smartphones and using that way to communicate, I find that now people genuinely appreciate a face-to-face conversation, and they're getting used to having that. They're getting used to it, and I think that now they've gotten sick of it. So now when that happens, it's like, ooh, okay, I'm going to take advantage of that opportunity. And I think, plus, once you've met somebody and you're in a relationship, I mean, you're going to call them for anything. So, I mean.
What do you think most millennials want in a relationship?
That
they'll actually settle down with, or even someone that they'll spend a couple months with?
I think a lot of it is attention. And I think that's because we're so egotistical. I mean, personally, that's not something I look for, but I've noticed a lot of millennials, they want the attention. If, a lot of women, for example, say they want a hardworking man, but they can't deal with the hard hours that they have to work because, well, he's not texting me back. I can't see him this night of the week because he's working until 10:30 at night. Well, what do you expect? You know what I mean? And the second that they don't get that attention, they drop them like a dirty sock. And men are kind of the same way. Oh, she's not doing this, or she's going out with her girlfriends, not, spending time with me. So I think they're letting their egos get in the way, and I think that attention is pretty much all that they want. It's not even affection at this point.
How do you think communication and family values and cultural values play in this whole millennial universe? Because prior generations really took that very seriously. Now we have the internet, everything's very open.
Yeah, I think more culturally, I think if you and that person say share the same culture, I think it's a little bit different and you're on the same playing grounds. But when there are those differences where, say, you're from one culture and I'm from another, I think it's not really a common ground until things get really serious, because people keep things so light and playful, and family values are another thing. I mean, let's be honest, these days if you're dating someone, it takes multiple months possibly to even meet, a sibling, let alone a parent. So that, it goes to show you that they're not taking things as seriously in that sense.
How about financial security? Are they taking that as seriously?
Probably not, because I think, again, egotistical, they want to, they have to buy the best to show off that they have the best on social media and do it for the gram. So I think financially, I mean, yes, every woman and every man want to be successful for themselves, but they also want to be successful for a partner. But I think a lot of people at this stage of the game, especially early on, or younger millennials in particular, I think they don't care about that as much as the older generation of millennials do.
Do you think that divorce rates could increase or decrease for millennials? They live very fast-paced lifestyles, but they already know what's out there.
I think divorce rates will absolutely skyrocket for a little while, and that's because the world's at your fingertips when you're a millennial. You're new, you're into the real world, so to speak. You have everything accessible to you. And even if you're in a relationship, I start to wonder, it's so easy to cheat these days, and it's so pathetic that people still do it. But again, that's the reality we live in. So I think that marriage these days aren't being taken nearly as seriously because, people, they're not emotionally as invested as they come off to be.
Why are millennials holding off so much on stuff such as marriage?
I think a lot of it in particular is because they want to be personally successful. And I'm all for that. I mean, I think everybody has a different definition of success, and I think that it's how you work to achieve that success. And some people find that relationships are a big distraction in the workforce, and I think that's true. I genuinely agree with that. So I think by pushing off marriage and family to build a career and build a stable, household, if that's what you want to call it. I mean, everyone's definition is different, then be my guest, but I think they want that financial success first.
Well, thank you, Brittany, for coming in, and we'll see you next time.
#1 multicultural channel. This is TAG TV.